Hey, in the last video we started talking about procedural geometry in Unity, and I am in Unity right now and I want to put a texture onto that geometry. It is just this bright pink triangle and doesn't even show up in my game, I think, so that's kind of bad. But this bright pink is Unity's way of saying there is no proper material assigned to this object, and so warning, you need to do something about it. Alright, so in my script I had changed this back to the normal winding order, and I need to also specify some other information about this mesh. So mesh dot, I want to use set UVs. So UVs are also called texture coordinates. So they're like X and Y coordinates, but these are U and V coordinates to define the horizontal and the vertical component of how you read from a texture. You can think of the lower left-hand corner of a texture, of an image, being the coordinate 0, 0, and the upper right-hand corner being 1, 1. And so based on the values you choose, you can say this vertex maps to which corner of the texture or some part in the middle of the texture or whatever. So I'm going to use set UVs. I need to have a channel integer. So let's say channel 0, it's just the default one. And then I need a list of vector2s called UVs. All right, I'll call it UVs because that's what it suggests. List of vector2. So vector2s are just like vector3s, they just have no z coordinate. Okay, and now I will specify what those are. Alright, new vector2. Okay, so let's just go, the first vertex is kind of to the right of the leftmost vertex, so let's go ahead and say 1, and then it's at the bottom, so let's do 1, 0. The second vertex is to the left, so let's go 0 and somewhere in the middle, so let me just do halfway. And then the third one is to the right and all the way up. Okay, there we go. So now I've got my UVs set up in my code, that's fine. I need to set up a texture to actually map onto my object, onto my triangle. So in my assets I have a texture, smile, I just dropped this in, it's a hand-drawn smiley face. It can be any format that Unity supports, any image format. And then I'm going to create a material to use that. Create a material, I'll call it smile. And I want to choose my smile image, my texture, for the albedo map. That's the normal diffuse image colors that'll be applied. And then in my geometry holder object, my mesh renderer doesn't have a material yet. I'm going to use this material. Great. Okay, so let's see how that goes. I can see my triangle is rendering, there's a shadow. There it is. Cool. Looks pretty good, but it looks really dim and gray. And when I go to the side, like, it stays the exact same dim gray, and it doesn't change at all, when I would expect lighting to affect it differently at different angles. So what's happening here is that I've only specified the geometry and the UVs. I have not properly specified the lighting data. So every vertex has additional properties, attributes, and some of that is involved in the calculations to figure out how bright pixels should be. So I need to tell Unity something about the normals. So here is set normals, and so I can say what are the vectors that are perpendicular to the surface, which ones point away from this triangle and at each of these vertices, and the tangent vectors. So with these two pieces of information, Unity can perform proper lighting calculations about how light is going to bounce and shine at the user, at the camera. I don't want to figure these out by hand, so I can actually let Unity figure it out. Where is it? Recalculate normals and mesh.recalculate tangents. And so I just specified the triangle. It'll create some default normals based on the data that I've already provided, and then let's see how that looks. Much better. Okay. So now it's bright, and when I go to the edge, off angles, it changes. Looks like lighting is working. Okay, so that's it. You can go a lot farther with procedural geometry. You can add more triangles. You can make quads, squares like sprites. You can make line strips, just a bunch of triangles that form a line, and you can texture the whole thing. You can make complete 3D objects this way, and that's essentially what Unity does internally when it loads a 3D model from a file. It's just reading information from the file and loading it up as vertices and UVs and normals and all that stuff. Alright, so I will see you in the next video.